Next theorem is, the statement of the theorem is, if M is, so what is the statement of the result of the theorem? If M is non-empty subset of, if M is non-empty subset of a Hilbert space H, if M is non-empty subset of a Hilbert space H, show that orthogonal complement of M is a closed subspace of H. So it should be a closed subspace of a Hilbert space H. It means if we have any kind of non-empty set, then its orthogonal complement is always subspace as well as closed. So first, what is the definition of orthogonal complement? So orthogonal complement, it is a set consisting all vector belongs to H such that inner product of x, y, 0 for every y belongs to M. So it is a orthogonal complement of M. Now to prove, first it is a subspace and second it is a closed. So to prove its subspace, it should be a non-empty. Now since inner product of 0, y is 0 for every y belongs to M, so it implies 0 belongs to orthogonal complement of M. So it implies orthogonal complement of M is non-empty. So this is my first step, because it should be non-empty. That's why we can take any vector from these subspace or from this set. Now to prove it is a subspace, I take two vector x1 and x2 belongs to orthogonal complement of M. Then by definition of orthogonal complement, x1 comma y equal to 0 and x2 comma y equal to 0 for every y belongs to M. So that is by definition of orthogonal complement. My aim to prove that the linear combination of these two vectors belongs to orthogonal complement of M. So that's why I take two scalar, let alpha beta be any two scalars, to prove that this linear combination alpha x1 plus beta x2 belongs to M orthogonal complement. My aim is to prove that its inner product with y equal to 0. So for every y belongs to M, so what is the inner product of alpha x1 plus beta x2. So that is the inner product alpha x1 plus beta x2 comma y. By using the property of inner product, so this will be alpha x1 comma y plus beta x2 comma y. As we know that alpha into 0 plus beta into 0, so this total term is equal to 0. So what we get? We get inner product alpha x1 plus beta x2 comma y is equal to 0 for every y belongs to M. So it implies, by definition of orthogonal complement, alpha x1 plus beta x2, it belongs to orthogonal complement of M. Then it implies orthogonal complement of M is a subspace of H. What is H? So H is a Hilbert space. So it is a subspace of H. Now next step is it should be a closed. So to prove it should be a closed, so I take, let X be a limit point of orthogonal complement of M. So it implies, if it is a limit point of orthogonal complement of M, then there exists a sequence which is Xn in orthogonal complement of M such that Xn converge to X as n approaches to infinity. So that is my result. My aim is to prove it closed. X should be a part of orthogonal complement of M. So X will be a part of orthogonal complement of M if its inner product is equal to 0 for every vector of M. So let y belongs to M. If I take y belongs to M, so in that case inner product of x comma y, so this can be written as if inner product of x comma y, so this can be written as, what is the x? X is a limit of the sequence xn. So this can be written as limit n approaches infinity xn comma y. So since inner product is continuous, so this can be taken it as limit n approaches infinity xn comma y. Xn belongs to M. It means its Xn belongs to orthogonal complement of M. It means its inner product with every vector of M is equal to 0. If this vector is 0, so what we get? We get x, y inner product equal to 0 for every y belongs to M. So it implies this x belongs to orthogonal complement of M. So it implies orthogonal complement of M is closed subspace. So it is a closed subspace of a Hilbert space H, of a Hilbert space H. So this is very important result of a Hilbert space. Now next result is, if M is proper closed subspace of a Hilbert space H, then there exists a non-zero vector Z0 in H such that Z0 is perpendicular to M. So this is very important result. So this is very important result. So what is the given part? In the given part, so proof of the theorem. So what is given part? Given part, H is a total Hilbert space and M is proper subspace of H. Then it means there exists some vector x which belongs to H, but x does not belongs to M. Since M is proper subspace of a Hilbert space H, then there exists some vector x belongs to H, but x does not belongs to M. So remember that this is some x vector which belongs to H, but it does not belongs to M, because M is the proper subspace of this. Now next, let D is the distance of vector x from M. So what is this? It is a infimum of norm of x minus y such that y belongs to M. Now from this, x does not belongs to M, but y belongs to M. So it means that D cannot be equal to 0. So D is always greater than 0. Why it is greater than 0? Because x vector does not belongs to M and y vector belongs to M. So that's why. Now by the previous theorem, by the previous result, we did that there exists a, by previous result, if M is proper subspace of a Hilbert space H, then there exists a some non-zero vector y0 belongs to M. So there exists a unique vector say y0 in H such that norm of x minus y0 which is equal to small d. So this is a such vector x minus y0 which belongs to D. Now suppose we named this vector as Z0. suppose z naught which is equal to x minus y naught. So y naught is a element of M. So this is a y naught is a element of M such that x minus y naught equal to d. Now we take z naught x minus y naught. Now we know that y naught is member of M, so it means it is a member of H. X is also member of H. H is a subspace, so clearly z naught belongs to H. So remember that this vector belongs to H. So we find that we take some vector which belongs to H. So my claim is z naught which is perpendicular to M. So that is my purpose to prove my theorem, and z naught is a non-zero vector. That we know that because x belongs to M, y naught does not belongs to M, so it means it is a non-zero vector. Now to prove z naught, we take let y is some vector belongs to M. So what is my purpose? My purpose is inner product of z naught and y equal to 0. So that is my aim to show my result. So let I take y. So this y belongs to M. So if I take this y, it belongs to M. So my aim to prove that the inner product of z naught comma y is equal to 0. So for in general, I am taking some scalar. For any scalar alpha, so I write z naught minus alpha y, z naught minus alpha y, so which is equal to x minus y naught and minus alpha y, and this can be written as x minus y naught plus alpha y. So now this vector y naught belongs to M, y belongs to M, so M is a subspace, so it means this total vector belongs to M. So this is a y naught plus alpha y, it belongs to M. That is by definition of the vector M. Also we know the definition of D. So what is D? D is the infimum of norm of x minus y for every y belongs to M. This values. So I can also write it as M. It means this D is less than equal to norm of x minus y for every y belongs to M. It means this condition is true for every vector belongs to M. So this condition is true for every vector belongs to M. If this condition is true for every vector belongs to M, so this condition is applicable to this vector. If this condition is applicable to this vector, so it means this implies, D is less than equal to norm of x minus y plus alpha y naught. So what is d? D is norm of x minus y naught. So this is a v, and this norm is greater than equal to this values. So if I write in term of z, so basically it is a norm of z naught which is less than equal to norm of z naught minus alpha y minus alpha y. So this is, and this can be written as norm of z naught minus alpha y which is greater than equal to norm of z naught. So this value, if I take the square of each term, so this square is greater than equal to this term. So it implies, from this it implies norm of z naught minus alpha y square minus norm of z naught whole square which is greater than equal to 0. Suppose this is equation number 2. Suppose. Now using the property of inner product, what is the property of inner product? So this is a z naught minus alpha y comma z naught minus alpha y, and minus this is a inner product of z naught, inner product of z naught comma z naught, and this entire term is positive. So this is positive. Now simplify. So very carefully simplify this equation very carefully. Now it implies, first I take z naught and taking inner product with this and then with this. So first I take inner product with this and then with the second term. So it will be z naught comma z naught. This is with this term. Now with second term, so minus z naught comma alpha y. So this is with second term. Now if I am taking this, so minus alpha y comma z naught, and again with this, first this with this, now this with this. So minus minus plus, so inner product alpha y comma alpha y and minus z naught comma z naught, this values, and greater than equal to 0. So this is a simplification of this equation. So we simplify this equation in this way. If we simplify, now this first term is cancelled with the last term. So this term is cancelled with the last term. So we leave this term at this stage. Now from this, if I take minus alpha conjugate z naught comma y. So if we take scalar from first element, then it is alpha. From second element, it is a alpha conjugate. Now from this, which is a minus alpha y comma z naught, because this is from first element. Now from this, one is from first vector and one is from second vector. So we take it as alpha into alpha conjugate. So which is a absolute value of alpha whole square into y comma y, y comma y, and this is a greater than equal to 0. So in order to simplify, we get this kind of equation. If negative terms are taken on other side, so it implies alpha conjugate z0 comma y plus alpha into y comma z0, and this is less than equal to absolute value of alpha raised to power 2 into norm of y whole square. This is y dot y, inner product of y comma y. This is norm of y whole square. So also if we are taking and this side, so this can be written in the term of minus, and this is a minus, this is a minus, plus this is a norm of y whole square. So if we taken in this way, so we have many way to write this equation. So if we are taking in this way, so we just write this norm, this inner product norm into norm, which is a norm of y whole square. So this is a norm of y whole square raised to power greater than equal to 0. Now this condition is true for every alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is some scalar. So I put alpha is equal to beta, beta is some real number, into z0 comma y. I take this where beta is some real number. It is not complex number. So I write complex number into multiplication of real number and this factor. So this, if I write this value, so what we get? So from the alpha conjugate, first it is a minus, alpha conjugate mean beta real number, so it is a beta, and next is z0 comma y, and this is a conjugate, into z0 comma y. So this values. Next minus, so what is alpha? Alpha is beta, and this is z0 comma y. So y comma z0 can be written as z0 comma y conjugate. This values plus this values plus this term. So absolute value of alpha raised to power 2. So this is a absolute value of alpha. So this is the absolute value of beta, number 1, and raised to power 2, and second is z0 inner product comma y, this inner product raised to power 2, that is substituting the value of this, into norm of y raised to power 2 greater than equal to 0. So I just write in this way. Now from this what we get? These terms are same, this conjugate and this same, so it is absolute value of inner product of z0 y. So similarly in this way, so it implies this is a minus 2 beta into absolute value inner product z0 comma y raised to power 2, plus here it is absolute value of beta raised to power 2. So this is a raised to power 2, since beta is a real number, so this is a beta real number, so this value can be written as simple beta. So just write it as simple beta, because it's a real number, it may be, so this is a simple beta square. If it is a simple beta square, so this is a simple beta square into inner product of z0 comma y raised to power 2 into norm of y raised to power 2 is some positive number. So very carefully now understand the next step very carefully. Now from this, if it is some positive number, it is absolute value of inner product raised to power 2, it is a positive real number, same is here, and same is here. So it is again positive real number. So I take this is as A. So what is A? A is inner product z0 comma y raised to power 2. It is a positive real number. Similarly B, which is equal to norm of y raised to power 2. So this is a positive real number, this is positive real number, and this can be written as minus 2 beta A. This is the value of A plus beta square into A, and this is a B, and this term is greater than equal to 0. So A, B are positive real number. So remember that A and B are positive real number. Beta is also a real number. So beta A is common. So this value is beta A, that is common, and this value is minus 2 plus beta into B, and this is greater than equal to 0, this part, or this is true for all real number beta. So this is true for all real number beta, and this condition is called a 3. A and B is a positive number. So A is positive, B is positive. So what we get of this kind. So this can, if we are taking in this way, so we get beta A into beta B minus 2, which is a greater than equal to 0. Now if A is positive, if A is greater than 0, we know that this is complex number. So it may be, the result is obviously false for all sufficient small positive beta. So hence this we have, our aim is to prove this result is equal to 0. Clear? So this my aim is, now this is, so just I repeat it again. So what is A? I just repeat. So what is A? A is equal to this inner product z0 comma y. My aim is it should be 0, right? Now this has two possibilities, either A greater than 0 or A equal to 0, because it is positive number. If it is positive number, then it has two possibilities, either A greater than 0 and A equal to 0. So suppose A is some positive number. Suppose A is some positive number in this equation, in the equation number this. If A is some positive number, when 1 by A is also positive number, so 1 by, then it implies 1 by A is positive number. So multiply by positive number, the given equation will become beta and beta B minus 2, which is greater than equal to 0. This condition should be true for every beta. So this condition is true, should be true for every beta. Beta is some real number. Now this condition is not true for every beta. Why? Because if I take beta is very small positive number, very small positive number, suppose very small positive number, and this product should be less than 1. If I take, for example, if I take beta is from this if suppose b is equal to 1. So just to understand, I take a general term b is equal to 1. If b is equal to 1 and I take beta is very small positive number, suppose beta is equal to 1 by 2. So this term is positive and this term is negative. If this term is negative, then this product does not greater than equal to 0. So it means this condition is not true for small positive number, for all sufficiently small positive number, small positive beta. So this condition is not true for small positive beta. Hence that we suppose is not possible. What we supposed a is greater than 0, so that is not possible. If that is not possible, then the possible value of a is only it is equal to 0. If a is equal to 0, so what is a? A is inner product z0 comma y raised to power 2 equal to 0, this value. So it means inner product z0 comma y which is equal to 0 for every y belongs to M. So what it means? It means this z0 is perpendicular to M, because it is perpendicular to every vector of this, so it is a perpendicular to M. So this is very important result. If M is proper closed subspace of a Hilbert space H, then there exists some non-zero vector. That non-zero vector is called a perpendicular to M. Now next result is again very important. So all the results are basically important. So this is what is the statement of the next theorem. So just if M is linear subspace of a Hilbert space H. If M is linear subspace of Hilbert space H, show that if M is closed, if and only if M is equal to its double orthogonal complement. So if M is closed, so this M is of this kind, M is equal to M orthogonal complement and then M orthogonal complement. So it is in two way. If the given condition is right, then M is closed. If M is closed, then this given condition is right. Now prove this result. So first I take one part. Suppose first let solutions, let M is equal to M and its double orthogonal complement. So what is its orthogonal complement? Again its orthogonal complement. So by previous theorem by previous theorem, we prove that orthogonal complement of any non-empty set is closed. So by using that concept, it implies M, which is a orthogonal complement of this set. So this set is a closed set. So it is our first part, proof of first part that this M is a closed. Now the converse part. Now given is M closed and my aim is to prove that. Now converse part, so let M is closed, subspace of a Hilbert space H. This is closed Hilbert space H. So my claim in this case, which is equal to M, and this is its double orthogonal complement. So my aim is M is equal to its double orthogonal complement. Now if I take X which belongs to M, so it should be belongs to this set. If X belongs to M, so by definition we know that inner product of xy equal to 0 for every y belongs to its orthogonal complement. So this is a by definition. It means X is perpendicular to its orthogonal complement, and it means X belongs to M double orthogonal complement. So I take vector from M and that vector belong to this. So it implies one thing is clear, M is a part of its double orthogonal complement. Now it has two possibilities. It means it has two possibilities. Either M is proper subset of this set, or M is equal to this set. So it has two possibility, either this or that. So suppose M is proper subset, suppose to make contradict, suppose M is proper subset of this. If M is proper subset of this, so by previous result there exists some non-zero vector belongs to, here Hilbert space is this M double orthogonal complement, such that is perpendicular to M. So there exists some non-zero vector Z0, and this is equal to perpendicular to M, this values. Now this vector perpendicular to M, it implies Z0 belongs to orthogonal complement of M. Also Z0 belongs to its orthogonal complement. So Z0 vector belongs to this set and Z0 vector belongs to this set. So it means inner product of Z0 comma Z0 equal to 0. Why? Because it is perpendicular to itself. If it is perpendicular to itself, then its inner product is 0. So it implies norm of Z0 which is equal to 0. So it implies norm of Z0 equal to 0 and it implies Z0 is equal to 0. So which is contradiction. Why contradiction? Because Z0 is non-zero. Hence our supposition is wrong. If our supposition is wrong, so what we suppose that? We suppose that it is a proper subset. If it is a not proper subset, then M is equal to its double orthogonal complement. So which prove our result.